I still can't see myself. This one's okay. Seriously. Thank you. Jamie, can you see me?
I can see you perfectly.
Am I centered? Because
You are slightly off center, but it looks very good on the frame.
okay, thank you.
Rick is perfectly centered, and I see Karen's beautiful candlestick.
So I want to. Yes, I have some behind me as well. So I'm on a desktop, so it's a little trickier.
Mm-hmm. What kind of guitar do you have, Rick?
I am really old school, Guild.
Guild, that's a John Denver guitar.
I'm a John Denver kind of guy. That's not true, but I just thought I'd say it anyway. I sing in B minus too. I hope that's going to be okay. I'll mute myself, but don't worry. Promise.
Yeah. So Rick, it's funny, years ago when I lived in New York, and I was applying to cantorial school, I discovered that you and I had Angelina Capana in common. No?
Oh, that was a couple of years. Yeah. I married into that relationship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
We're live.
We're live.
Beautiful.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This is our first Zoom Kabbalat Shabbat, and we're thrilled to be with you, me, Rabbi Karen Gorban, Cantor Laura Berman, and we're delighted to have our special guest, Rabbi Rick Jacobs, who's president of the Union for Reform Judaism of North America, and he is delighted to be with us. We're comparing guitar stories right now, but we're going to start right in with our singing. We say Shabbat Shalom to each other, and we're going to start by singing Yedid Nefesh. All the words and all the transliteration will be up, easy to follow, and we hope that you'll be able to sing along at home. Yedid Nefesh av harachaman, Yedid Nefesh av harachaman, Meshocha avdecha, El ritzonecha, Meshocha avdecha, Ya la 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 la, El ritzonecha, Yarutz avdecha, Kemo ayal ishtachavei ya la 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 el muladarcha yarutz avdecha kemo ayal ishtachavei ya la 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 El muladarcha Yedid Nefesh, Yedid Nefesh av harachaman, Yedid Nefesh av harachaman, Meshoch avdecha, El ritzonecha, Meshoch avdecha, Ya la 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 la, El ritzonecha.
The lights of Shabbat continue to remind us of how, even at a time when one day may seem to blend into the next, we make a distinction of time for Shabbat. By doing this, we create a sacred time, a time for ourselves, for those we care for nature, for our tradition, and for our relationship with the divine. Our Shabbat candles stand in defiance of fear and darkness and remind us of the warmth and light and joy that come from being interconnected, even in a time of distancing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Now gather those around you, physically if you safely can, but most importantly in your heart. And join with me in offering the threefold blessing from our Torah, that is the customary blessing for children. The words of the blessing extend from 3 in the first verse to 5 in the second, and then to 7 in the third. And we can think this Shabbat of how we can extend the blessings that we have threefold to those in our hearts, to those in our community, and to all the world. I'm going to bring my son into the picture here. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God shine God's presence upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom, shalom. Yasem lecha shalom, shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom, shalom. Yasem lecha shalom, shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom. May God turn God's presence toward you, or lift God's presence toward you, and grant you shalom, peace. Shabbat shalom. Now, let's raise our Kaddish cups. We'll chant the bracha and literally or virtually taste the sweetness of Shabbat. There was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kadshecha v'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat. L'chaim. Turning now to Lecha Dodi, we address Shabbat as our beloved, with all the promise of divine love. This melody has a gentle lightness, and I invite you not only to sing along, but also to move as the music and the words may move you. Dodi. Oops, I'm sorry, I started wrong. I have that tune in my head right now. You know what? I'll leave the guitar and we'll go forward. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila, Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, Kivarech kumi uri, 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 shira beri, Kavod Adonai alayich nigla, Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. It's traditional now to rise and to face our entrance. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, kam v'simcha uv'tzohala, toch emunei am sigula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We're going to continue with Sadiq Katama. This is a beautiful melody that I grew up with. It's more than 140 years old. It's melodic and soothing, like that righteous bloom, like the date palm. It goes like this. Sadiq Katama yifra Gerez balvanon yeske shetolim bebeit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvon b'seva Shenim ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולתה בו.
Evening chant. Yikadal v'yitkadash meraba.
Amen.
Yalmad yivrach yiroteh v'yamleich malchuteh b'chayachon v'meichon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael. Bakala uvizman kariv yimeru. Amen. Yehi shmeraba mevorach le'olam le'al me'al maya yiparach. Yiparach v'shabach v'barit romam v'naseh v'tadar v'talav v'talal shemere kudesha b'rechu li'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'alma v'imeru. Amen. If you wish, please rise for Baruch Hu, the beginning of the Mariv service. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la ya la la la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la la. Ya la 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 ya la la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We join together in a prayer for the wonders of creation, beauty of sun and sky, of moon and stars. Together, you mix the watercolors of the evening, like my son swishing his brush until the waters are black with paint. The sky is streaked and dimming. The sun wheels over the horizon like a glowing penny falling into its slot. Day is spent, and in its place, the changing moon, the spatterdash of stars across the sky's expanse. Every evening, we tell ourselves the old story. You cover our sins, forgiveness like a fleece blanket tucked around our ears. When we cry out, you will hear. Soothe my fear of life without enough light. Rock me to sleep in the deepening dark. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochenu U'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach midivrei Toratecha U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu Ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Ve'avadcha al tasir, v'imenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And like our more traditional friends, we'll remain seated for Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Hashem, Yevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, B'chol lebavcha u'chol nafshecha u'chol me'odecha, Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, Asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot hayadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam amazuzot beitecha Uvish arecha leman tizkeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem geroshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Well, this is a Micha Mocha we've been learning. We expected Dan Nichols a couple weeks ago. We hope to have him in May, but we'll see. We'll get him here no matter what. And this is the beautiful version of Micha Mocha. If you know it, join in. There's clapping to do. Oh, are you doing it? Micha Mocha ba'eli madolai. Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh. Micha Mocha ba'eli madolai. Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh v'ele. Nora tehilot oseh v'ele. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Malchutecha ra'u v'necha bokei hayam b'fnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'elianu v'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Micha Mocha ba'eli madolai. Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh. Micha Mocha ba'eli madolai. Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh v'ele. Nora tehilot oseh v'ele. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'nehemar kivada Adonai et Yaakov v'kol hayam b'chzak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Gai Yisrael Hazah Yisrael Gai Yisrael.
We ask for peace and protection through life's storms, through the challenges of life. And lean on our friends and family, even when we can't lean on them physically. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkiveinu, Meshalayim. Shalom. Pick your favorite part. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashriveinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashriveinu, Leshalom. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et hashavat la'asot et hashavat b'dor haberit Torah. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et hashavat la'asot et hashavat b'dor haberit Torah. Shishat yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz veshamru b'nei Yisrael et hashavat la'asot et hashavat ledor haberit Torah. Ubayom hashvi shavat ve'nafash, shavat ve'nafash, shavat ve'nafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et hashavat la'asot et hashavat ledor haberit Torah. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et hashavat la'asot et hashavat ledor haberit Torah. If you are so moved, you may rise for the Amidah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei 'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim Bekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imot, U'mevi Gila Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melech, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom yehalaluch hasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh. Now, normally we would take some time to offer a number of different prayers and readings for Shabbat and for God to accept our prayers and of gratitude and of peace. For this Shabbat, we're going to take some time just to offer our private prayer. And if you are interested, you can also use the words that are on the screen. We take a few moments now, though, for private silent prayer.
Ose Shalom Bim Romav Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'himeru Amen. Ose Shalom Bim Romav Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himeru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'romav Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himeru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'romav Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himeru always at this moment in our service, we offer Mishaberach of healing. And every week you hear me say, we pray for those who are in hospitals and terrified about what will happen to them, and those who are alone in nursing homes and simply lonely, and those who walk the earth with a stone in the heart or face the daily battles of sobriety. And yet that circle is expanded of those we pray for and care about, including ourselves. One of the most beautiful moments I had with Debbie Friedman was when she insisted to 5,000 people that we not sing it, that we let her sing it for us. Let me sing a prayer of healing for you, for your heart, for your illness, for your loved ones, for your wholeness. Misheberach avotenu Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing, that's all of us, with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. What a delight it has been to have Rabbi Rick Jacobs participate in our service tonight. I saw him praying all of our prayers. He knows every tune that we sing, and it's my honor to introduce him for a moment now. I learned long ago from my friend Michael Matchison that introductions can be one of the ordeals of civilization. So what we do is, instead of writing or reading a curriculum vitae, we simply welcome friends. Because why would we invite somebody to speak to us who is not a friend? Rabbi Rick Jacobs and I have known each other for years and years. I got to know him not only as a great Torah student and a great rabbi in his own right at Westchester Reform, but as a dancer. He has walked in places more elegantly than I will ever stumble. And I wish him all the health in the world as he tries to help our movement and the Jewish world get over this incredibly difficult moment we're in. It is an honor and a genuine personal pleasure to introduce my friend, Rabbi Rick Jacobs, who heads the Union for Reform Judaism all over North America, and whose influence is felt all over the world. Rick.
Thank you, Rabbi Gibson, my chaver, my friend. It's a privilege to be with you tonight. As you may know, today is called in the Jewish tradition Shabbat Hagadol. Now, what does that mean? Let me explain. In Jewish tradition, the Gadol in Shabbat Hagadol refers to a number of things. First, Gadol could refer to the length of the rabbi's sermon for the Shabbat right before Pesach, which traditionally was the longest sermon of the year, hence the term Gadol. But don't be nervous, just be with me here for a moment. It also could be that Gadol refers to Yom Gadol, the great day spoken of in the special Haftarah, the special prophetic reading for this Shabbat, which describes the coming of the great day of God, a day that will begin a time of ultimate redemption. Or the Gadol in Shabbat HaGadol can also mean simply great, as in your senior rabbi, Jamie Gibson, is a Gadol. Your senior rabbi is one of the great rabbis of our Reform movement. And you all know that already, but I want you to know, so do we. Jamie, I'm sorry I'm not with you in person, but I am delighted to be with you via technology. And thanks to Rabbi Gorman, we are technologically moving smoothly and it is just amazing to behold. I would just say neither rain nor sleet nor pandemic could keep me from offering my words of tribute to you, my chaver, on this season of your retirement. Now, friends, Temple Sinai, your rabbi told me to, make it concise, make it short if I could. Ricky said no more than 5 to 7 minutes if you must. But for you, Jamie, this, by the way, is not a simple thing for me, but for you, I'm going to do my best. Given this moment in the sacred calendar, I want to frame my words to my colleague through the lens of Pesach, and particularly the Pesach Seder. But first, I want to just remember that I'm speaking to you from the epicenter of coronavirus, not simply in the United States, but frankly, we learn now in the whole wide world. And it is a scary, frightening, unsettling moment that we find ourselves in. And all of us are trying to imagine what exactly will Pesach be this year. It can't be like any other. So what will it be like? And I'm very proud of the resources that the Union for Reform Judaism is able to share, not just with our movement and with all of you, but with the wider Jewish world. And if you haven't found those resources and you'd like them, Reform Judaism, one word, .org/Home Seder, or just Google and you'll find it all over social media. This is a moment for us to be creative. Now, a journalist from a very prominent newspaper called me last night. I can't tell you which newspaper, but I can tell you it's named after a street in Lower Manhattan. So just use a little bit of your imagination. So this journalist called me last night. He said, I'm doing kind of a light story about this year's Passover Seders. Excuse me, I thought, a light version of Seder in the time of the deadly coronavirus. You have got to be kidding me. Well, I shared with him not the lighter side, but frankly, I think the more important side, that this year we need Seder more than ever before. We need its themes of hope and resilience and renewal. Just as tonight, look at us, here we are praying across not just zip codes, but state lines. Here we are drawn together through this amazing technology. And yes, through the technological assistance, we come together and we can be one. And so this Pesach, we're going to use some of our good old-fashioned reform ingenuity, some of our creativity and openness so that we can update this year's ritual to speak to this particular moment, this very challenging moment. And now I want to start my Dvar Torah for you, my friend, Rabbi Gibson, with a section of the Seder known as Hallel. I begin with praise. Now, in my own rabbinic experience, this is the part of the Seder that most Jews skip over. They're kind of looking down, they say, you know what? This is kind of a lot of different Psalms. Let's just skip the Psalms of praise. But oh, no, we're not skipping these words of praise. Not tonight. No, not this moment. 32 years of love, care, wisdom, music, and connection. Rabbi Jamie Gibson's imprint on Temple Sinai of Pittsburgh is simply indelible. Kindness, authenticity, vision, devotion, and wisdom are just some of the words that describe your senior rabbi. Over these past 32 years, these qualities have been implanted within Temple Sinai as a community, but also within each and every one of you. And I would dare say, in the wider Pittsburgh community, anyone who's had the privilege of learning with and joy of being in the presence of has been able to internalize some of those remarkable rabbinic gifts. Magid, our next section. Your rabbi loves to tell stories, oh my. How many of you could recount some of those remarkable stories that he could just spin out of a moment, an idea, a thought? Well, I just have a few stories of my own to share about your Magid, your rabbi. As Jamie suggested, I first got to know Rabbi Gibson at the Shalom Hartman Institute in Jerusalem. I mean, where better to connect with a person than in the Institute's inspiring Beit Midrash? It is the equivalent rabbinically of nirvana. In Chevruta, in deep one-on-one study with another colleague, that's when you actually can get to know who someone is deep down in their heart of hearts, and you know who they are at their core. And Jamie has always been completely at home in the deep water of Jewish study, and there's definitely shallow water, and there's medium water, and then there's the deep water. We both carry the title of Senior Rabbinic Fellows of the Shalom Hartman Institute with great pride. And I also know that we share some common teachers. The soul of the Machon, the Institute, was Rabbi David Hartman of blessed memory. He was an Orthodox philosopher who envisioned and began the Institute and raised up disciples all over the Jewish world and all over the spectrum of belief and practice. That was his gift. Rabbi Hartman's teachings and his dugma ishit, his personal example, gave all of us who were his students an inspiring example of what a life of courageous Jewish leadership was all about. Shortly after making Aliyah, Rabbi Hartman decided that there was no reason to fast on Tisha B'Av. Remember that day of mourning for the destruction of the first and second temple, as well as other tragedies through Jewish history. He looked around modern Jerusalem and saw the vitality and the life and the beauty, and he said, why are we mourning? Well, he came to his senses because the Orthodox establishment said, what are you thinking, Rabbi Hartman? But my friends, if Rabbi Hartman were alive today, he'd be saying to the Orthodox world, make sure to allow Zoom on the first night and second night of Seder. He would say that connecting people, that's a meta-halachic issue. He had the courage to change and adapt. And that is one of the great gifts that he gave to his students. And he gave that gift to your rabbi, who has been able over and over again to be creative, to be inventive, to not be a caretaker of the status quo, and to have the courage of his convictions. And I also would say that Rabbi Gibson has learned David's Torah, which is always connected to the land of Israel, always connected to the people of Israel. And I know Rabbi Gibson has shared his love of Israel with each of you and all of you over and over again, because it is simply a part of who he is. The next section of the Seder I want to just lift up and use as a prism to view my colleague is the Kos Miriam. Besides the cup of Elijah, thank God we now have a cup of Miriam also on most of our Seder tables. I know at our Seder we sing, and we sing it in some varied keys, and unlike your rabbis in Cantor who are magnificent singers and players of guitar, at our family Seder, we just pick random keys and we sing. But we always sing this song from our beloved Debbie Friedman, and the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. You see, Debbie Friedman's melodies, they just ignite us, and they bring what is ancient into a moment like none other. She also had a gift of raising up disciples, and one of her disciples, one of her Chevruta partners, is your rabbi who has this amazing gift of music and soul and spirituality. Debbie Friedman's music inspired all of us, and she blazed a trail that has been traveled by anyone seeking to make contemporary meaning out of Jewish tradition. You see, Debbie's soul was on fire. Sparks just flew from her that ignited a generation, and one of those souls is your rabbi. Her sparks live in him. Next section of the Seder, I want to just lift up 3 words from the book of Deuteronomy that are the midrashic frame for so much of our Haggadah. Arami Oved Avi. Literally, my ancestor was a poor, wandering, homeless one. What a powerful reminder, friends, for our Jewish community. Even at a time of coronavirus, we live with such an abundance that is not yet shared, but we have an abundance of riches and of all the things that we could ever yearn for. But sometimes we forget about those who are like our ancestors, poor, homeless wanderers. Friends, there are many then and now who are on the margins of society, and a whole lot of people forget about them and just focus in on what we have and what we need and what we want. The heart of our tradition is empathy, the ability to feel the pain of others. And when we feel that pain, do something. Well, I am inspired that we are reminded over and over again in Torah, remember not to oppress the other, the stranger, the migrant, the wanderer. Why? Because we should remember. It should be in our souls. A lot of us need a lot of reminding, but your rabbi is innately humble, and he has kept Temple Sinai busy, caring for the neediest in the Pittsburgh community, in these United States, and frankly, in all places around our globe. The next section, and there's not too many more, don't get nervous, Jamie, just a couple more, I just have to. The section that's called Pesach Matzah Umaror. It's part of the Magid. It's the section that comes almost just before we eat the meal. So just be honest, a lot of us just hurry through this. It's a teaching from a great sage named Gamliel. We learn Rabban Gamliel Hayah Omer, Kol shelo amar shlosha dvarim elu b'Pesach lo yetza yedei chovato ve'elu hem Pesach Matzah Umaror. Rabban Gamliel was accustomed to teach anyone who's not said these three things, in fact, explained these three symbolic foods, has not fulfilled his or her obligation. And these are those things: the Passover sacrifice, the matzah, and the maror. We could actually skip over it without having any idea of what Gamliel was talking about. Well, the great sage was talking about the first centuries of the Common Era, when Rabbinic Judaism was taking shape, but also early Christianity was also taking shape. So Rabban Gamliel said, you're not the only religious tradition that has matzah or wafer, or has a paschal lamb, or drinks wine. And of course, he was thinking about the early Christians who ate wafers and drank wine and spoke about the paschal lamb, but they meant something completely different. What he was teaching was a lesson about understanding religious difference. And even, this may be a bit of a stretch, so this may be rabbinic extension, but he was teaching us to respect the differences, to appreciate them, maybe even one day to celebrate them. Gamliel is teaching us something that we desperately need in our day, and it's a great reminder. Passover has also been a time of great danger in Jewish history. So many centuries our people were petrified to celebrate the holiday because there was the blood libel, the notion that somehow Jews needed the blood of Christians to have our holiday. Patently false, but brought on all kinds of pain and suffering. Today we live in a different time, thankfully. And today we have rabbinic leaders like Rabban Gamliel, who all are about celebrating the differences, noting them, appreciating, not blending them, appreciating the uniquenesses, and have built the bonds of love and trust and mutual responsibility with other faith communities. And I want to just celebrate that your Rabbi Gibson has done that in the most inspiring ways. I was in Israel when the Tree of Life shooting took place, and I had just had a long Shabbat at Heller High, our semester program for high school students at Kibbutz Tzuba. And I was back in Jerusalem when I heard the news. Well, immediately the Israeli news media called me. They knew I was in Israel, and they asked me to comment, and I did the best I could. But honestly, from all those miles away, it was just hard to even begin to understand. And then I found an unbelievable interview. Rabbi Jamie Gibson on CNN. And honestly, there was a calm compassion that this exuded from his very being. And he stood next to a Muslim colleague, Wasim Mohammed, the executive director of the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh. And I just want to say, I've rarely been as moved by their shared leadership, by the deep mutuality of their relationship, that in one of the darkest moments in recent Jewish history, maybe even in long arcs of Jewish history, your rabbi gave words of comfort, not to me and not just to each of you and not just to our Reform movement. Friends, there were hundreds of thousands of people who felt his comfort and felt the way that he and his Muslim brother were able to help us try to turn our hurt and the hate of the shooter into more love for one another. That's rabbinic leadership at the highest level. That's not something most of us can do. And your rabbi has left that and so many other gifts in your hearts, in your lives, in your sacred moments. And there's just no way to express all of the love and appreciation that we have for him, we, the Reform movement, because I'm sorry, he's not just yours, he's all of ours. So if Rabbi Gibson were only phenomenally musical, Dayenu. If he were only a master teacher of Torah, Dayenu, it would have been enough. If he were only a leader of supreme sensitivity, come on, say it. I want to hear you from Pittsburgh to New York. I want to hear you say it. Dayenu, it would have been enough. I think you're getting the idea. I could actually continue that for quite a while, and you could too. I don't know, maybe Cantor, we should sing a different Pesach song to Jamie. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we should conclude with Adirhu. He's a great one. Well, he is, and on this Shabbat Hagadol, we celebrate the greatness, the lasting goodness, and the unbelievable and deeply touching and moving and transformative power of his rabbinate throughout his career, and especially these years at Temple Sinai. I'm going to conclude. I promise, Jamie, here's the conclusion. The Shana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, those are the words that we conclude our Seder ritual always. It means next year in Jerusalem. And I got to say, besides his love for Pittsburgh, I know the place he would almost always rather be, and that is Yerushalayim. But more than that, his leadership and teachings point to a world of justice, a world of wholeness and compassion. His stories, his music, and his loving presence point the whole community to that future time. Jamie Gibson, the Shana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim. Next year and the years beyond, may the Holy One bless you and Barbara in this next chapter of your lives, of your adventure together. And may you only know health and fulfillment and abundant peace. And I must add, because we have a world that's aching, and next year may all of God's children be rid of coronavirus and rid of the enmity that separates us one from the other, and feel the bonds that we've been able to create in this moment of pain and uncertainty. May we carry that forward. The Shana Haba'ah, next year, may we celebrate Passover in a world at peace, with all of God's children living in health and harmony. Amen.
Amen. Rabbi Jacobs, I'm truly humbled by your words. I don't really know how to respond except to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I think that the only thing that I would try to say is maybe you went over the 5-minute limit, but it's okay. We love you and thank you for your wonderful, wonderful words. I do have a couple things to share with our congregation. I hope you'll stay with us to the end of the service. So tomorrow, Rabbi Gorban is leading a Zoom Torah study at 8:30 in the morning. Regular Shabbat Minyan is at 9:15. It will be a Zoom Minyan where everyone's picture will be available. We'll all be able to see each other so that we will be able to, if not sing together, at least see each other and give each other that comfort of acknowledging each other's presence. On Sunday, if I have this right from Rabbi Gorban, the second grade is the only grade that is meeting. No? First grade?
It'll be the first and second grade classes because they're combined. So it's Ali and Mara's classes and then also your confirmation class.
Right. The Hartman seminar will be meeting at 9:15. The confirmation class will be meeting at 10:30, and the Bereshit, I think, is at 10:30. as well. The next thing on our calendar is Monday evening. We are restarting the Rabbi's Shi'ur, which means class. I'll be teaching Monday night. The Zoom link has already been sent to you. And I'll be talking about Job and personal suffering, something that we're all kind of wondering about these days. On Wednesday is the first night of Pesach, and Cantor Berman will be leading a virtual Seder at 7 o'clock on behalf of the whole congregation. Anybody who is not with a family, anybody who wants to just tune in and see what she's going to do at 7 o'clock, and that link will be sent out on Monday as well. I think that really is about it. I do want to emphasize something that we have tried to say in our email communication, that because of a couple anonymous donors, I have funds that I can give immediate cash grants to those in our congregational family who are in need. Please email me, and we're trying right now to find out ways to get the money more quickly to people in need, so you can pay rent, so you can pay for food. If you need, please let us know. We're also still looking for volunteers to call the entire congregation, all 740 households. If you're willing to make calls, please get in touch with Rabbi Gorban, who has the list and the script by which we contact people and ask how they're doing and see if what we can provide for them. So next week, we'll be doing the same format at 7 o'clock. It'll be the Shabbat during Pesach. And we're going to continue with this format as long as we're clear, it's unclear whether or not we can get together in person. So I always ask Rabbi Gorban and Cantor Berman, did I miss anything? I don't think I did. So I'm going to ask Cantor Berman to lead us in Aleinu. And if you're accustomed to rise for Aleinu, please do.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu k'hem, v'goralenu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu koreim u'mishtacharim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad.
Before Kaddish on this Shabbat, we remember the names of those who died at the season in years past. We especially remember the names of Samuel Baskin, Samuel Kerr McLeod Bedford, David D. Bernstein, Rebecca Kletsky-Betensky, Jack Blackman, Gary Bronstein, Cuddy Briskin, and Bud Bronston, Geraldine Browarski, Paul Brown, Minnie Kaplan, and Carl Charon, Shirley Polhemus Cochran, Edgar Allan Edelsack, Herta Fayer, Rose Frank, Sam Goldman, Yael Gorban, Erwin Holtzman, Eloise Lane Jenkins, Rita Kagan, and Frida Katz, Rochelle Katz, Bernard A. Kelsky, Ann Goldzer Krieger, Fred Landay, Max Latterman, Ernest Lieberman, Rita Lieberman, Rose Lipsitz, Ida Lyons, Grace Moritz, and Silbert Moritz, Martha Moskowitz, Dr. Robert Rapp, Rose Rosen, Sidney Rosenberg, and Alice Rubin, Walt Rudolph, Barbara Shore, and William Scott, Herschel Siegel, Bertram Silver, and Saul Simon, Dorothy Solomon, Ralph Solo, and Sam Solo, Marianne Stevenson, Esther Weisberg, and Dora C. Weiss. And now we remember those whose recent deaths we still mourn: Robert Rosenberg, Francis Denmark, Elmer Judd, David Dinkin, Caroline Cohen, Jean Colura, Paul Kaplan, and Dr. Art Covell. It's our custom, Rabbi Jacobs and our congregation, is if the individuals who are saying Kaddish for these people would rise, and we would recognize them as mourners, and then we would all rise to stand with them so that no mourner would ever need to stand alone. So I'm going to rise to stand with our mourners as we say our Kaddish. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma Divrach Hirutei V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayedechol Beit Israel, V'agala Uvizman Kari V'yamru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach Leolam Olamei Al Maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha B'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata b'amiram b'yolma v'yimru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Ose shalom b'mromav. Huya ase shalom. Aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'kol Yisrael tevel v'yimru. Amen. May the source of peace in the high heavens cause peace to descend on all of us, all Israel, upon all those who suffer in our world. May peace be upon them, as together we all say, Amen. We're going to continue our ender service with Adon Olam. Cantor Berman has to be unmuted for that to happen. There we go.
Thank you. As Rabbi Gibson says, we close with the Dvar Olam, a prayer which begins with a statement about God's omnipresence in time and in the universe, and draws to a close with a reminder that we can turn to God, remembering that our spirits are in God's care. With that reminder, we need not fear. You may recognize this melody as the one that Rabbi Jacobs mentioned, Adir Hu, a traditional song for Pesach to close our evening service for Shabbat HaGadol. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra v'et nasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra v'et nasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra Yado kidruchi betishan ve'ayra bimruchi geviati Adonai li ve'loira bimruchi geviati Adonai li ve'loira.
Bruchim atem b'voachem, bruchim atem b'tzeitchem, me'atav ad olam. May you be blessed every place you come into God's world. May you be so blessed as to go out into it as well in love, health, peace, and blessing. And we all say together,
Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Can you stop the recording, Jen?
Shalom.